It was noticed, right? Yeah. Do I have a, well, yeah, let's, okay. Motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion.
Second, Bill. All in favor, can we, what, we want to change something? Give me a second. You look, make a motion and then you went right on.
Well, you were
We're on
calling
discussion now, so.
design guidelines at discussion. This next phase, next whatever, with design guidelines.
F on the discussion back,
Yeah, six.
design. Okey dokey.
That's all I have.
Okay, all those in favor of the amended agenda? Aye. Anyone opposed? Ooh, you are a good boys. Okay, let's start with our action items that we have to do today, even though this isn't a real meeting. A, motion to approve security system working group resolution.
Motion.
Second, motion second, discussion. What is it? We want to explain?
Yeah, this is an idea to pull together a couple of members of the community, hopefully from the tech and the finance committees, to help put together a true agenda and a framework for our security camera system. Not only analyzing the pros and cons of the different systems, but also laying out a financial schedule so that it really is treated like a reserve item ongoing, because the current system we have now has cameras of various age that are going to age out. And so we just need to treat it more like we treat other reserve things.
And will this group not only look at what we need, but what we can not use? The thing, I mean, there are wish list items that, for example, monitoring and things like that, that we can't do.
This is just an evaluation of the camera system,
Just of the system. Okay.
of the system, and a recommendation.
So it's not security needs and limitations. Okay, all right. Any other comments? All those in favor of doing that?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? B, the motion to approve allowing the association council to communicate with Meta regarding the usage of the celebration seal. Okay. Motion, second. Any discussion?
So I think we need to add a little bit of context for this, because I think we've been talking cryptically about what's been happening. So I'm going to try and go through this quickly. So Tom Tucson came in here a couple weeks ago and talked about what happened with his Facebook account. So I want to read verbatim what he sent. So, we suspended your account because we received a notice from a third party that infringes their trademark rights. Profile Tom Tucson. If you believe that your account should not have been suspended, you can contact the complaining party directly to resolve your issues. There's a report number, Rights Owner Celebration Residential Owners Association. Email jared.wise.townhall.celebration.fl.us logo. If an agreement is reached to restore your account, please have the reporting party send us a retraction through the appropriate channel. Please note the party isn't required to respond to your request. Alternatively, if you disagree with this decision and believe that your account should have been suspended, you can submit an appeal by logging into your account, following the instructions there. That is why we were talking about this.
But Jared retracted.
He retracted,
And Facebook didn't accept the retraction.
Facebook didn't accept it, so now we have to engage our counsel,
Right.
spend our time,
Yeah.
our management time, and our
Which, it, by the way, turns out that we don't really own the rights.
we do not own the rights to the logo. It's the celebration company. You're not the police of logo usage. You should not be taking rogue actions in the community, policing things. We work with our management company, work with them, and they should be handling this.
Yeah.
It's a bad one for us.
And whether or not, and then I know that there's some dispute over the particulars, the details, as there always is.
Yeah.
In these kinds of situations. But I think going forward as a board, if we use our town hall email address for something, we probably ought to make pretty darn sure that we agree as a board and not taking unilateral action. That seems fair. Okay. Any other discussion of that? All those in favor?
As of
Yes.
Friday, he still did not have access to his account. Thomas A. Tucson, to be correct. Just say that.
It's not, my wife calls him TTT.
Just say that.
She's
Thomas A.
She's just,
I clarify.
he's attacked.
As of Friday.
Not a swat, just attacked. Yeah, no, you're British.
Are we on delay?
That's British.
Do we have a envelope of amount that we're spending on this, or is it just
Just money.
to be determined?
It's gonna be to be determined.
Okay.
It's a discounted out rate.
It's just the hourly rate. Yeah. Okay, cool.
It seems silly that we have to do it. Facebook is being jerky.
Well, it shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen for the beginning, but it's, it's just silly. And in the future, back on the other side of the issue, I know a lot of us think that things that are trademarked are ours to use, but they're really not. If you use your favorite sports team without their permission, they could take you down. They have every right to do that. So this was a stupid situation, but we fix it. We gotta fix it. It's just a mess. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Not a soul. Motion to approve. I'm sorry, this just cracks me up. The Angelus Diamond change order for hot water heaters at Town Hall. Apparently, we never had hot water.
Well, we had some.
In one room.
So-
Small hot water heater in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Motion and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we need to motion that.
I'll motion.
Yeah? You want a second, anyone?
I'll second.
All right, we want to discuss this or are we just gonna do it?
Discuss
Discuss it.
5 small tankless hot water heaters.
Mhm.
In place of what read like there was one.
One tank, one little tank, one
It
in the
was a
back.
small tank about this big that only served the kitchen and didn't serve the restrooms.
Yeah, my only question is, with the kind of water we have here, is scaling in those going to be a problem that we have to then address? Because you're not dealing with one hot water heater, you're dealing with 5. And given the water we have here and the scaling issues,
I don't know.
I mean, that was the only thing I.
But the
thought.
problem is we don't have the plumbing
So I,
set up.
where our temporary office is in the Seminole building, it's about 30 years old and it has Insta-Hots.
Yeah.
The building that are, look to be original.
Okay,
This is not, sorry if I missed this, this is additional scope.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on a high level, there are this is mainly for the restrooms.
Uh-huh.
One for the men's main sink, one's for the men's handicap sink, one, and then same with the women's. The building or the restrooms did not have hot water before. The concern and advisement of both of our construction parties is that the amount of changes taking place in the building when it comes, while it's arguable if it is required by code, with the amount of changes taking place in the building, the inspector will most likely call out that it's needed, and they don't want that to cause the building from opening. And adding them at a later time is a higher cost.
Yeah, the short answer is new code requires
Yes.
a hot water heater. We were trying to get around it because we technically are not moving the bathrooms, but we're just moving everything around it.
So they provided an original bid at $22,000 with one centralized water heater. And we pushed back on that, and that brought bid now to $12,000 using 5 Insta-Hot.
The reason for the big cost on this is all that extra plumbing we have to go in.
Yeah, plumbing, and a lot of it is the journeyman cost of the electrical
The wire.
required for Insta-Hots.
Yeah, we're never employed, but obviously we have, this is just stuff. Using our own, we just have to take it.
I think it relates to code too.
Yeah, I am shocked that it wasn't there before. That was a school for a while and kids just wash their hands in cold. Well, it's better than going out to the creek.
This is true. I'll call the question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion to adopt bank account access resolution.
motion.
Motion, second.
Means you gotta go to truest.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
you went on town.
Why?
you gotta sign for Don.
But I already signed for 3 people already.
I know.
You don't have any liaison appointments, it's.
It's me, I know.
The good news is we have.
Okay. Any issues with this?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion to authorize Charles Richards to do something. Oh, to represent the board in Spring Lake Town's mediation conference. Yeah.
Make an emotion.
Oh, cool.
I'll second.
Yeah.
I don't think we can.
No discussion.
Down.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Done. Great. Future consent items for discussion. These should be easy, like a sidewalk. We gotta fix it, right?
Daddy.
Maddie and Daddy.
Maddie and Daddy, I love Maddie and Daddy.
I was their preferred vendor.
Maddie and Daddy what are they?
It's.
A woman and a guy, a woman's named Maddie.
Because like
She calls him Daddy.
I can't find much information about them, and like they did cool stuff originally, but now they're doing the sidewalk too.
Well, remember, that was a project that was originally going to be bid out by a pool service vendor. that we instead, because it wasn't pool related, it was just a deck drain related, we were able to pull in then this general.
Oh, that's right, it's the drain.
Drain,
Yeah,
But
okay,
it's related to like the,
It's a concrete drain.
yeah, so
got it,
it's
okay.
it's in their wheelhouse, I guess.
And the work that they did, wherever that was, we liked it.
We would not have recommended them again if he did.
And
Sounds
you
like-
don't have to call it daddy.
No, that's fine.
And they were like, what, half the cost too, or?
You will.
I think they were less than that.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, are we all good with that? That's the consent agenda?
Yeah.
How about the landscaping replacements for the dog park for 8830? Issues with that?
There's been high Facebook, but I,
Oh, gosh.
So-
Stop it then.
This is the same one that was brought to you earlier, a few months ago, that we paused on because there was a homeowner comment saying this is not what the committee was wanting. This has been presented to the dog park committee at their last meeting, and they're aware of that this is moving forward to the board. This is in line with during the 2025 sod replacement project. It was discussed that ongoing fill-in would be needed, and this is in line with that. It's actually about half the cost of what we were expecting the ongoing fill-in would cost on an annual basis.
You
there's
also
a
gotta
picture,
remember,
right?
There is a picture of where this appears.
you also gotta remember that the sign, the dog park is bahia, which goes dormant in the winter and during the cold, so it's
It's
not
very
dead
brown.
when it's brown, it's dormant.
Please put that in the flashes and matters.
And
Yeah.
that is also what was communicated to the dog park committee, that when this moves forward, the insulation, the sod will be not bright green because it is dormant, but that is a good season for the roots to.
But there's no reduction in turf grass.
No,
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
what is how are our reserves overall toward the dog park? Like, I feel like we're constantly having to, and maybe I'm wrong on that, but
So-
I'm just curious, like how often we're ending up having to,
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I think that was the plan though, going forward from after we replaced all of this last year, going forward, we would be replacing it in a patch by patch basis rather than doing a full replacement. Now, I know the dog park committee did say that they wish to do the full replacement, but I feel like we had a plan in place to take this approach. And this is an approach that is used in other dog park facilities too in the area.
so that helps to reduce, not reduce, but we're doing it a little bit of a.
yeah, this is in line with the reserve line 1.60 landscape improvements and partial replacements, including sod, with the allocation in 2026 of $213,000. This was part of the reserve project implemented phases that we presented on for the year, and it's about total cost of $126,000.
Because the reserve fund, the reserve study doesn't differentiate between the dog park versus another passive park.
That's
So it just
correct.
falls into the same bucket, right?
But we're tracking the maintenance, like obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
outside of
attributing
some
to
unique
different parts.
elements.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
You have a resident with their hand up.
Yes, resident with hand up.
Yeah, thanks. Just a quick comment. I think historically, the dog park has cost us about 100,000 plus in terms of annual maintenance, just to give you an order of magnitude. And I think the soccer fields are in the $300,000 range.
That's without the landscaping contract, or that's
No,
That's
that's
without
what
the landscape.
without landscaping contract?
No liquid.
That's with both, with.
That's not the maintenance, yes. so-
Yeah.
Okay,
The maintenance
okay,
contract.
got it, okay.
All right, are we all good putting that on the agenda? Any other questions for you? How about the landscaping improvement for Live Oak Muse? Anything that would lead us to not put that on the consent agenda?
I've heard complaints about the muse, so I think be welcome.
Yeah, this one has been receiving ongoing complaints. This is in part of or lives in between the Spring Park Garden Home Service area. This one's actually creatively, the Amuse adjacent to this has last year received a new project that made most of that Muse sod instead of plant fill-in. And these homeowners are requesting to match that. The two bids received, one is for a like-to-like replacement, so replacing the failing material with the same style material at $22,000. Taking the committee's suggestion along with the homeowners of the area to doing it at sod is only $6,700.
That's a good thing. I think we'll all be happy with that. don't we?
Wait, no, that's different than what I thought though, because I thought the sod on the other side was pulled out because it was dying. No,
That is true, but the sod beds were extended
we're making more of a bed that dies?
in a different section with a different type of sod. That's because that was the transition from which sod type?
So it's always.
Thank you, from Zoysia to St. Augustine.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we're gonna end up in the same boat.
Okay, correct.
Yeah, it's gonna die.
Now, this quote is for the same sod that you see outside of Heritage Hall.
Okay,
In the hard freeze, it seems like we're doing landscaping, so supply has been okay. We're able to.
Everybody good with that? Yes, sir.
No, sod.
Motion to approve a 3-month agreement for yoga.
I just need to note before you discuss this, the individual who this agreement is with is the spouse of an existing town hall employee, but that employee would not be overseeing this program or contract.
So arms length.
cool.
Cool, everybody cool. 1-year agreement with Paw Academy.
I make the motion.
We don't have to, we can just send it to them.
It's for the future.
We all good with that?
You got it next.
Okay.
This is Paul Academy's Bark Clubs.
Yes.
Pressure washing for service areas in Portugal. No, wait, it says 5,000 apartments, sorry. Thought we were covering other countries. Wow, that's expensive pressure. washing.
That's all the service area.
I know. It's just a good thing.
Did you see the range of quotes though?
That
Yeah.
was my question, actually.
I never said.
So this is actually, this is actually,
Pressure washing prices I find even for my house are all over the place.
he's actually, so that's Roberto Lopez. And so he's actually a Celebration resident and he does a great job. Feedback has always been great with him.
Is that the recommendation now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He also did this project last year.
Yeah.
I'm a happy camper.
Yeah.
No, happy camper.
Can we, this is more, and I can have this with, Alex, we just, the scheduling I know has always been kind of
That's why
challenging.
we did the RFP earlier this year and we're doing the fall one earlier this year to avoid the decorations and all of that.
Fabulous, great.
Right.
Okay.
So we're beating Halloween.
Yes.
Okay.
We're working to be better at it. It's hard to miss every holiday, but they're trying to be as sensitive as
We
possible.
really don't have a lot though in September.
And obviously working service areas.
Okay, how about our board priorities? Discussion item A. Who brought this one up?
It's normally on your org meeting, so we put it on here in case
All
you
right.
wanted to have.
Anybody have any priorities other than making this place better and continuing to run it like we've been running it?
So we're talking about the design guidelines later.
Yes, that's on that's on F.
We have to figure that out because we'll talk about that when we get to it. The other thing that I would like for us to be able to think about is providing direction from the board level to the committees on what we actually want them to work on. So I think we've been lucky that the committees have been able to just come up with things or they hear what they're doing, but I think that it would be helpful even if we pick one thing that we would like for them to work on in addition to anything else that they know of from their expertise, that then we can help kind of guide the direction a little bit on things that we might need help with, rather than I felt over the past year, we were very reactive. We kept having to send ideas back. And maybe if we say, hey, we know this stuff's coming up, or we really want help working on X, then we can, try to direct that a little bit.
I think that's a good idea.
We could also, I mean, if you know things now, we could kind of, when we do the resolutions, the objective.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, cause like maybe we pay more, like all of us, not just like focus on your own committee, but look at everyone else's committee as well
Yeah, that's fair.
too. I know I try to, but like, I think we can, that's what we're supposed to do, right? As a
Right.
board.
Yeah, no, exactly. The committees exist to serve the board.
Mhm.
And which exists to serve the homeowners as their representatives, elected representatives. Raw democracy. Anything else we want to focus on?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Here, let's just go around, start with you.
We're gonna talk about this in the CJC part of the conversation, but I think we need to talk about CROA, I think overall, and the relationship with CROA and CJC. And this is not gonna be a one-time conversation. We're gonna have to have a lot of talk about the relationship, how can we continue to improve it, and then the function of CJC. We'll get into this in the discussion, but
Yeah, I was gonna say that's our E.
yeah, so I think that in particular is one thing definitely on my mind.
Okay.
All I have right now.
How about you? How about you?
Okay, well, I had, Don Town sent me some.
No, he's not here. He can't speak.
No. I
No
was
proxy vote. Sorry, Don. Sorry.
He's just basically, it just basically echoes Eric and Charles because he had mentioned the design guidelines. Focus on energizing committees and CJC. And then I have one, and that is, I would like to focus on financially planning for and hopefully starting 3 major projects. The maintenance shed, the lakeside playground, and the sports courts. I think those are 3 big things, and they kind of cover like management needs, reserve study, and capital. But I think the main piece we need to do is kind of get an idea financially how that looks, so we can get an idea of maybe a tentative start time and help everyone kind of be on the same page with the committees as well. So I think those are 3 projects I'd like to take a look at.
Well, how about you, Mr. Long?
No comment.
No comment
Mhm.
or just nothing to add?
Nothing to add.
I felt like we were on like at a
Okay.
hearing or something.
Keep going. I didn't plead the fifth.
Marcus,
I'd love to move forward faster as we can, the master plan for 2026-27. I dream of the sports courts. I dream of that space full of kids, adults, residents. We live the problem here with the basketball courts. Every single night or evening, you have some kind of problem with the basketball courts. Have nice space dedicated for our residents that they can play basketball, volleyball, parents can stay together, has a place to see, watch their kids, stay hanging around would be perfect. It's something that we really need.
glad you brought that up because that brings it right back around to me. I am a big advocate of sports. I think they're great. And I think that as a board, and as an MPAC and MPAG and all of them, totally ignore the arts. We have spent money on sports facilities after sports facilities after sports facilities after sports facilities. We have millions of dollars in sports facilities. And yet in this community that is right next to Walt Disney World, that when we were able to access the high school and when we were able to access the black box at the K8, we used to have all kinds of musical productions, theatrical productions, art things going on. We have all kinds of stuff going on that we do not do anymore at all. There is no theater, for example, in Celebration. And Celebration used to be filled with great theater because we had all these talented people from Disney and us. And I'm not happy with the fact that I didn't want to get involved with MPAG or MPAC, but I'm very unhappy with the fact that it's been pushed back to the last thing on the list, a community center that has arts facilities that are not repurposed basketball courts. I heard that mentioned once. Well, we'll just make a theater that's a repurposed basketball court. That's not a theater, that's a basketball court, or it's a venue with bad acoustics. It's a stupid idea. It's like doing plays in the lunchroom at the K8.
Agreed.
I would like to see that become a high priority as a board member with MPAC. Because by the way, in the very first master plan we did that I was a part of many years ago, the number one thing was a community center with arts facilities. Number one, not some half-ass thing, but good, like we do with everything else. Look at our sports fields. They're state of the art. These sports courts, state of the art. Our splash pad, state of the flipping art. This is great stuff that we've done. I would just like to see that come into being the future iteration. So
We could add that to the resolution.
I would love to add that to a resolution. I think there's a huge percentage of the community that believes that is particularly older folks, younger
Yeah,
folks.
my son is a big fan of the arts.
Yeah. So
That sounds like a great initiative with the foundation too.
no,
Not to at least.
I mean, they can use the facility, but I think that this needs to be CROA.
I believe the master plan on Lot B already have a space.
I know but we,
Not dedicated for the theater.
yeah,
I
and
just
we,
change it and make it dedicated for the
it
theater.
needs to be the next thing on the list, in my opinion. Okay, sports, playgrounds. Yeah, what do you want the next thing to be?
You're just concerned about the cost.
I'm not concerned about the cost. I'm concerned that if we start going,
3-year project.
I'm concerned that we start rearranging things. On the, I know
But I'm telling you, I think impact rearranged the original master plan.
Honestly, I think the way the community center was in their report, it wasn't necessarily in a particular phase. So it can be starting to be looked at any point.
I know it's in there, but
Yeah.
it's just that everything seems to get kicked ahead of it.
so I agree with both of you. Navigating that is going to be very important so that it's not perceived that we're trying to like cut the line or that.
I don't think we,
Well,
I
I'm not saying
think,
that that's what's.
I think a lot of things cut the line over the years.
Yeah.
Because there is a very, very vocal a group of sports fans in town. You hear from them all the time. We need more basketball courts. We need more fields. We need baseball. We need, okay, I get it. But those things take up vast quantities of land. I'm talking about a little flipping box with some lights in it and a couple of chairs.
I think that project would be a long project anyway, so they could start looking.
Yeah, and
at
we
it
need to
now.
fund it, but we have now the means. We, for the first time, have the means to fund a major project a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, I think, and then maybe that's part of what they start looking at.
That's
this
my
year.
first rant in 3 years. There we go.
Oh, it's okay.
Just as 851 is getting done.
I love 851. I love the new color. Yes, sir, Mr. Jackson.
Same stranger. As you speak about the lakeside playground, I think one of the things that was talked about in master plan was what happens with the Jones room. And I think you could do something with the Jones room to make a theater environment, maybe a roof over the top, side, whatever. But I think you can turn that into something relatively inexpensive.
As long as it's not outdoors.
Well, you're gonna need a roof over it.
The roof and if you want to do anything, you might even need AC.
You need seating too, permanent seating,
Yeah.
but you'll lose the green field.
Right.
But
And that's something that's worth considering. Again,
well, that's a much quicker path, because if you start talking about something on lot B, our capacity to do that, unless we want to go into debt, which we can do, or do a special assessment, that's out multiple years.
yeah, no, and I'm thinking multiple years. I'm not in any hurry, but you're right. I love the idea of repurposing the Great Lawn because we live in a very wet part of the country.
And expansion of Lakeside is on there anyway, like.
So don't do lakeside without thinking
Right.
about the Jones room. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a canvas there to do something.
Yeah, I mean, the Jones room is too small to do anything.
Oh, it's gotta be redone.
Yeah, completely redone. Okay, just wanted to pass that on to MPAC.
And I had one more thing, or did you want the last word?
No,
What, so I think
I'm
this,
gonna give Marco the last word. Good.
so I think, not gonna do it. I thought, plastic. I think we're really a great, good/great place with grant managers right now. I think you all have really turned the corner with the implementation of the contractual measurements, getting the right people into the staffing roles. And I think how can we continue to, and I think this should be an explicit priority. How can we continue to nurture that, right? And make sure that we as a board continue to support that. You feel like we are giving you directives of things that send you on a different path. We need to have that conversation now because I think we're on a really good trajectory. So obviously, and these feed into the things that we're talking about. So just having those candid conversations.
Agreed. Do you want the last word, Marco?
Yeah, give us good.
No, okay, go ahead. No,
Give
go
her the
ahead.
last word.
I was just gonna say, we're happy to continue to give feedback back to the board on what we're doing. And we're also, this year, we're starting a continued education initiative in-house. Jacob scheduled the first one with, Katrina Scarborough on the property appraiser's website because you have no idea how frequently we use that website. She was surprised as well, but she was on site for an hour yesterday.
And
Yes.
our team.
And brought her team and did training on how to use the website and tips and tricks, so.
I'll say one thing that has been helpful with, I think is being heard and respected by the board is sometimes with liaisons with committees. Sometimes the issue with the committee and management liaison relationship is there's often a lot of ideas, but who acts on those ideas, it can add more on to the management liaison. And often we've had those conversations with the board liaison and that have been helpful in understanding that those managers often have a full plate, a full scope that can't add additional projects unless they're requested by the board and something else is adjusting. So that would be one thing that I would look forward to keeping at the top of the mindset as we move forward with our different committees this year.
Good, thank you. Anything else on that? How about we move to B, Board of Directors Code of Conduct? Don't be a jerk. No.
We're just looking to do the same one as we.
It's the same one as last year unless you want to add or reduce anything. So it'll be adopted at your next meeting for everybody to sign.
C, Parks Committee consolidation. Talking about wrapping everything together.
Yeah, so
Parks.
this has kind of come up in the discussion of essentially the applicants are somewhat lack thereof on what we've gotten from either interest from existing dog park committee members, Parks and Rec, all that sort of stuff. And the question of, does it make sense that we should move the dog park committee underneath Parks and Rec? Like, so it's just all the same thing. Because in theory, the dog park is another amenity.
It's a park.
That Parks and Rec would do. And I think that might help in some regards when we're talking about things like grass or landscaping or usage.
Park program.
What are your thoughts, Marco, since that's your liaison area? Apparently. you have-
I guess it is, it's working well. I don't,
But the problem is what he's saying is we're not getting, we have an applicant.
One applicant for the dog park.
There's also just one more consideration to think about. After talking about management time, how many hours is it to have a separate management liaison for the dog park committee? Whereas if you melt that in under Parks and Rec, Danny or whoever gets that time back.
Yeah, so
For
it
other
would
things.
reduce, so just from a operations standpoint, the Parks and Rec / events team, since we've consolidated, now has 3 committees that they're responding to. Parks and Rec committee, the events committee, and the dog park committee. So that takes time for all 3 of those leaders in that department. It's mainly Nikki going to all 3, but then Danny and Nikki deal with the dog park, Danny and Nikki with the rec committee, and Nikki and Allison with the events committee. So wrapping dog park underneath rec committee is supported by the management liaisons.
Would it be detrimental? I understand you like the way it works now, but would it be a major problem, do you think, for the rec committee?
there's no problem. If we have this obligation, we're gonna make it. My teacher, what I'm saying, that last part was, I don't see any needs for change. What we can do, if the management company can help, like open a new call and say, hey, we are in need for volunteering for the dogs park. Let's see what happens during the spring break. Is 1 week. Maybe 1 week we can have 5 brand new volunteers, and we can fill the dogs park committee. It's just my guess.
Okay.
But I don't see the problem if we need to manage the entire thing as well with the same group that is doing the special events or.
Any thoughts, Bill?
I like the idea.
No comment, he said.
I like the idea of consolidation.
So, Katie?
I think it would make things more efficient, and then if we did consolidate, I think it's important to have encourage anyone that is still interested in the dog park to also apply for Parks and Rec. So there can be.
So there's a voice.
So there, yes,
Alright.
so that there can be representation still.
And to Katie's point, there is a longstanding dog park committee member who supports this consolidation, and she has already applied to the rec committee.
Under the idea that.
Under a consolidated system.
Yeah.
I have a question, sorry. The consolidation should be only for the parks and rec?
Yeah.
And only for the park and rec, nothing about the special events. right?
No, just Parks and Rec. Yeah.
Yeah, and the committee call for committee members up until April 15th. So it is early. We're moving quickly, but it is a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. and
Well, and again, I thought it was a great idea initially, because it was established basically as a task force to make it happen. And they did a great job making a dog park happen. Now it's pretty much run by the Parks Department. So anyway, Eric, sorry.
Yeah, no, all I was gonna add is I think if there's nothing that also says that if we get 6 months into this and we go, this is a horrible idea, just reform the committee.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth trying, just because we are, like, when I was there, and we were, went to one of their meetings, and they were discussing the BART bus and the contracts with the park, and I'm like, this is kind of like a partner program, right? And I was a little confused, like, why isn't, like Parks
A
and
lot
Rec
of duplication of effort.
reviewing it? Yeah, because that's kind of like what they do, and like, so I just kind of, I don't know, it just seemed like it flow, and then, one of the committee members also said that they thought too, it would make logistical sense. And so if management thinks it would be more efficient, then I think it'd be worth trying.
Well, there's nothing to say that people passionate about the dog park couldn't start a dog park club, like we have the garden club, and they participate in upkeeping some of the parks and celebration too, where they could have
They,
their.
they could help take care of the dog
They could
park.
participate and come to the rec committee meetings and provide feedback to the rec committee as a club.
That makes sense.
Charles?
Yeah, that's all good.
All right, should we put it as an agenda item?
I would like to.
Okay, let's do it.
No, just so we already had applicants in flight. We already posted for dog park right now.
We have one right now.
We just have
We
one.
just have one. And that's the
So,
one who also.
And she's gonna already apply for rec.
so if we get new applicants, we would just redirect them to Parks and Rec, basically, the board, okay. All right.
And I'm happy as liaison of the committee that we're going to dissolve, hopefully, or maybe too soon to be. If that happens, I'm okay with going back to, I don't want to put that on you as the secretary. Like if someone comes in and they say they applied for dog park, I don't have a problem saying, hey, just to let you know, we're thinking about this. So would you also be interested in applying for Parks and Rec as well?
That's what the audience.
Yeah,
Don't
I think
liaise.
it'd be good.
Yes,
Bill, I just have, I guess one question I would ask for that is how much time is dedicated to the dog park that we already add to the Parks and Rec committee? My wife's on that committee and I know we spent a lot of time already just on the Parks and Rec. So I guess as you're thinking about that consolidation, how do you make either the meetings more efficient that they don't go even longer than they already go? Or like where is there duplication that maybe reduces that time on dog park that can go?
what are your thoughts on that as the liaison?
From what I understand, looking back at the meetings and what is discussed, there is a fair amount of duplication of what's discussed on Parks and Rec. The biggest one, obviously, the dog park has a lot of maintenance. There's maintenance tasks that need to come up. Some of that, I think, just falls in line with the rest of regular parks maintenance that we would need to flag up. I think there's some nuances, right, on, we don't require immunizations to go to the pool, I mean, so there's some of the, sure, I don't know.
Those are established and managed by the.
And
I also say that this, I'll let you continue, but as far as maintenance goes, we do pause a lot of maintenance of the dog park because there's a committee.
Yeah.
Where if not, we would move faster on some of these, like, we would have asked for approval of the sod 2 months ago.
it would have just gone to the board. We would have said-
In your head, did you spell that PAWS? Just out of curiosity.
But I think it's a valid concern that we need to monitor. So when we look at that to say, look, if we're spending half the meeting talking
I'm
about.
sorry, it was a bad joke.
then we need to adjust.
But yeah, what Jacob said too is what I was thinking as well. A lot of the issues are maintenance issues or landscaping issues. And all that stuff comes to the board. Like we have all the different parks, landscaping. So I feel like management would put that on the board and not on the Parks and
So
Rec.
short answer, probably wouldn't add a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is our,
Parks and Rec is doing one month on, one meeting per month. It's usually 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes. It's a lot of passionate people over there, so we like to talk. And talk about everything twice sometimes. Engagement is doing a good job. Nobody has your dynamic like you do here. But they're doing their best.
So the requirement should be dispatched.
If we bring the dogs park committee together with the Parks and Rec, you're gonna spend the same 2 hours.
And by the way, those dispassionate people, they're the ones who don't sign with the committees.
Right.
I don't know.
Very active in other.
This is gonna be a source of controversy. Dissolution of CJC. Did we talk about
Committee
committee resolution? We talked about the committee resolution.
Oh, that's what we.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. I said, it's okay to put that on, yeah. And
Oh, I thought that was secret.
no,
So moved.
that was Steve. It's not a motion.
Call to action.
Yes, Gary.
Are we talking about the committee resolution?
No, we're not there yet.
Yes, it's all right.
Oh, with that one. Oh, God. Okay, I went to Parks Committee. There's too many committee words in here.
Management has,
Okay, we're talking about the ARC resolution.
no.
No, committee resolution. Oh, committee. Oh, God, I'm so confused as to what's going.
Call to action.
Design guidelines is F. Got it.
This
Okay.
is a call to action to the board, basically saying you have homework, so please focus on your resolution.
I was on a red.
Got it.
When will we be voting on?
The next, yeah,
Next
next
board
meeting. Yeah.
Into
Yeah,
March?
let's-
Board meeting or March board?
No, your April board meeting.
Oh,
So you'll
sorry.
discuss them in your April workshop. So basically you have a month to look at them, talk to your committee members, talk to your management liaison about how you want to update your resolutions, discuss the workshop, approve in April.
So we discussed at the April workshop.
Yes,
And the code of conduct is an appendix or attached to each of these now?
yes,
That we
it's
just passed?
exhibit A to the universal consulting body charter.
Who's looking at we're all looking at the universal consulting body
If you
chart.
want to update it, yes.
I don't particularly want to.
No, it hasn't been updated in a couple of years.
Basically, you just say that I don't want to.
Wait, no, we did redline it, I think.
It was redlined in 2022, right before you got on the board.
Maybe we should have brought it up.
So-
All right. Is it in the folder also?
If it's not, we'll put it in.
All right.
I'd like to recognize a member of the audience.
Go ahead. Committee resolutions.
I'm talking about the overall resolution that Lauren was just talking about, for overarching resolution for all committees. There is one change I recommend. For several years, there's a line item in there that says all volunteer members of all committees their term expires March. Since the deadline for volunteer submission is April 15th and has been for years, I recommend you change that line in the overarching resolution that your term as a committee member expires at the end of April. That way, it matches your decision for new committees, and you don't have to pass a resolution to extend everybody by a month.
Seems reasonable. Yeah, that seems to make perfect sense.
That's
Sounds good.
All right. Now I can do the dissolution of CJC.
So,
You're CJC.
you want me to kick it off?
I'm not gonna have next word.
So I think one of the dissolution of CJC is kind of the let's blow everything up.
So that's the nuclear option.
Exactly. Where we're getting is some of the challenges that we've seen with the cost sharing agreement. And that's really where the crux of a lot of our interaction with everyone within CJC kind of is. As a reminder, the only thing that CJC technically owns is the water tower and said landscaping. Do they even own the trees in front of it? I think,
Yes.
yes, some of the trees, but it's that area. The rest of it is essentially a vehicle for us to play nice in the sandbox with everyone else, with us between CROA, CNOA, and coming together on top of that. There is meaningful change since Disney left, essentially. And once they left, we've seen the dynamic of CJC just change over the past year and a half or 2 years or so. I think that the question becomes that if we don't reach a agreement or a strong agreement on cost sharing, or it continues to be a contentious relationship, then the question then becomes, if we don't do the cost sharing agreement and we see if that's a financial burden that we're willing to take on, then what purpose does CJC start to serve? And I think we need to have that honest conversation. There's a meaning, I think, for that's good-hearted behind us coming together, but right now it's causing just a significant amount of staff time more than anything else to try to either prepare the back and forth for the meetings or try to figure out pieces that come up from it. And there would be some things that we would still need to figure out. Like, this is baby step one of the process, but we need to figure out things like insurance. That's run through CJC, absorbing the cost that we wouldn't have from the cost sharing agreement. And then what would happen for, are there cases that CJC has to vote on something that we would then no longer have a body to be able to vote against it? I also don't know if we were to call for this for a vote today, the way that I understand it, Warren, correct me if I'm wrong, if we were to try to dissolve CJC, it has to be a unanimous vote by the
So-
board.
CROA needs to adopt a resolution to dissolve CJC, and CANOA needs to adopt a resolution to dissolve CJC, and then council would take the necessary corporate steps to dissolve that corporation.
Right. And today, I don't, this is worth in early stages of this discussion. I would say if we put this up tomorrow, we would never get that from the Canoa side. We would need to talk through this with them much more. But it's just become more and more of a little bit of a contentious relationship. And I'm starting to believe that I don't know if it's worth it.
Now, Eric, let me ask you, as someone who's not on that league, on the CJC, I haven't been to any of the meetings, don't want to. Here's what it feels. It feels to me like, one, it's all money. It's all about money. And it strikes me, the best analogy I can come up with is, how much do I pay in dues every year?
1436 something.
All right, I pay $14.36 every year in dues. I think I should pay $100. You know why? I've been to a pool in 15 years. I haven't used a single park, not one, never. I haven't had a kid in a park. My kids are all grown and gone. The only facility I use is those that I volunteer in as a board member. I don't use the facilities at all. I think my fee should be lower. That is, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's what I feel Canoa's position is now. If I'm not getting 100% of my money back in actual value, then I want to go and do something else.
I think there's some of that. I think there's a little bit too of misunderstanding of what we're willing to be able to provide, from either capacity for, listen, even with the cost sharing agreement, what you're actually going to get for that, like what functions come from that. I feel that if everything were to be dissolved, and let's say that Canoa would then have to go out and get their own management company, they'd probably be paying more than what they're paying now, even in the cost sharing agreement to run things. Because remember, they also have things like, ARC and covenants and different pieces that go along with that.
Which we don't enforce, by the way. We do not enforce the community-wide standard, which is
No.
also, I was gonna know.
We do some covenants violations for Canoa.
But CJC does not as a.
No,
No.
but that is one benefit, that is one tool that CJC has, is the ability to step in to either association and enforce the community-wide standards.
So, and I think to me, that's where I do hesitate on dissolving the whole thing, because I think that there is that master check and balance. And look, I am biased, right? I'm sitting on the CROA side. We have the majority of CJC. So pretty much anything other than dissolving the whole thing, if we get 3 members voting in the affirmative on the CROA side, it's gonna pass.
Yeah, but if they come back and say, okay, great, you passed it, but we're not paying it.
Well, but.
So
Wait,
What's the cudgel?
there is a mechanism, keep me honest here. There is a mechanism for CJC, like, for example, I'll bring it up. The vacant lots out on the boulevard. So technically they're in violation with the covenants for Canoa right now. If Canoa fails to enforce the way that CJC feels that it's not being enforced, CJC can step in and force Canoa's hand that they have to do something. We essentially can override it. Vice versa, the same thing too. CJC could force CROA's hand at something if we felt that we weren't following.
Only if they had a pro amendment vote with them.
Correct, yeah.
Well,
And-
we-
but it's like
voting
a
against
check
our
and
own- right.
balance.
Exactly.
And my thought is, it might not propose any issues in the short term, but down the road, could be some unintended consequences. And, we won't be here for that, but I don't think we could bring back CJC like we could bring back the dog park committee.
It would be much more difficult to be able to do that, and I agree with you there. Personally, my sentiment is with it having been on CJC way back in the day, and then now back in the day, the conversation is now all about money.
Yes.
That's just all that we focus on. Previously in CJC, what did we focus on? I think the biggest issue that we had was voting on when to repaint the water tower.
This was the Page Pierce.
And that was Page Pierce Days. Now, granted also too, we kind of we just went along with whatever.
Okay, wait, just a thought, this just occurred. Part of the problem with CJC is that Canoa is essentially run by Lexington. Correct? No, real, it's essentially, not legally, but I do not, it strikes me that Advent Health, Crossman, the other shopping center people, the apartments in Island Village, that these companies are abrogating their voting and oversight responsibilities, and they're really just pretty much assigning them to Lexington, who just, the board is completely made up of Lexington selectees.
Yeah, look, the politics put aside,
I mean, there's no member from Advent Health on the Canoa board,
well, because no one wants to go near it, right? And I mean, I think that,
except Lexington.
I agree with everything you said, right? And I think,
You don't have to.
no, I know, I agree with everything. And I think the dissolution is definitely the nuclear option. It's if we can't figure this thing out, how do we look? And this is not like an overnight thing. And that's where I go a little bit frustrated with the day of adding up the cost sharing termination, because this is not something that we just want to do same day. We have to have thoughtful conversation around what does this look like? I don't think the cost sharing arrangement right now is the problem. I think the problem is the larger function of the board and whether it meets Canoa's needs. From what I've seen, right? You are a homeowners association management company, right? That's what you do. Is commercial business in your wheelhouse? Is that something where you are currently designed?
If it's owner association, so if it's
Yes.
their financials, covenants, yes, that's what we're designed to do. But the problem right
be a
now
market,
We're
is,
going, right.
they have their desire to stand up this visitor bureau functionality, which we are not.
It's outside of everybody's scope, and I think it was even out of the original CJC scope.
We should remember.
Canoa's not even in the contract.
So
To finish my point though,
Yeah, sorry.
could CJC speak with Advent and speak with Crossman and say, we need you guys to step up and really be a part of Canoa?
Like recruit people to.
Yes.
the problem is until the next annual election, which they don't generally reach quorum, and they really can't unless Advent participates.
Right.
Advent made it, to my understanding, Advent made it abundantly clear many, many years ago. They were on the board for one meeting and got up and said, we don't want to deal with these politics.
Yes.
Well, and when you start seeing some of the emails and some of the things that have been happening, we as a CROA board need to be concerned about this because their dysfunction is now impacting us. Like you're getting in and responding to these emails on the car shows and all these things. That takes time, right? And when we're getting into this argument about are you getting your value or not, that right there is proof like that there's a lot of time being put into this. So it feels like this perpetual exercise every single year of money, right? It really is money, and
What am I getting for my money?
and marketing and things that, you know, we had this whole exercise for months and months about what do you want? What do you want this marketing person to do? And it took months for them to give us these KPIs, months. They don't know what they want to do. And by virtue of that, it becomes dysfunctional for us on CJC, dysfunctional.
They don't want
for
to pay. The
So-
bottom line is they would rather not pay any.
So for a
Or they're
less,
bare bones.
for a less nuclear option, just from
Yeah.
speaking on the contract, and this isn't legal advice, I'm gonna cost it.
You're not acting as our attorney.
No. Canoa is not a signatory to your contract. The only signatories are CJC, CROA, and CCS. Canoa is mentioned in the body of the contract when it comes to financial reporting and covenants enforcement. The only other time and specific requirements that are in the contract is an exhibit, and it calls out, I want to say, 8 or 9 specific functions that management is supposed to perform for Canoa. We are performing far more functions for Canoa than are outlined in the contract document.
So, but yes, in that though, there's no, let's say we dissolve the cost sharing agreement. So there's no more cost sharing agreement. CROA still has a function that they need to be able to support.
So then CROA defaults to the governing document contribution level, which last year was about $43,000-ish. But that gives CROA potentially more of a leg to stand on to enforce the contract restrictions in terms of services to provide to CROA.
I have a question on that. And so if we say say we just look at, CJC on bare bones and we, look at it for what it's worth and it is the split between the two. And we just remove the cost sharing agreement because there seems like there's so much back and forth on that and there's so much gray and things just get twisted. And it's been happening for 2 years with it. And we just stick to what is required, how CJC is written. And yes, we would lose money.
Couple of thousand.
It'd be like maybe less than 200, I think, compared to what they're.
Is the contribution?
Yes, a little.
So if they're giving us 230
Right.
and then they only give us 40, so then we're looking at 109.
Right.
However, so that's obviously something large we'd have to absorb. But my question would be to management as far as staff time
Savings.
and, would there be savings on the association side to where, there's more staff time available to administer to CROA's needs where you might not need to say, we need to hire, X amount of people because we're cut too thin. Would we be able to recoup some of that with staff?
Yeah, so from a community standards perspective, you would be able to delay hiring an additional staff member because their CROA contribution time would be lowered
Right.
to the quarterly meetings and not the monthly meetings and the quarterly inspections. From a comms side, we could probably take on some of the projects that we keep kicking down the road because we're not constantly addressing the marketing requests or changes from the CROA board. You would see savings in time from Jacob and I. We're doing monthly meetings with them, plus all the emails. You guys aren't on, we get more emails from them than we get from you guys.
Project management as well.
Yeah, project management time as well, because we're doing a lot of projects for them.
But there is
It's
a,
starting to sound a lot like about $190,000.
And the Parks and Rec with,
Oh, yeah, Parks and Rec and Events team, because we've stopped and started planning events with them multiple times over the last year and can't ever get to a place where we're doing something.
so there's two things though. One, this is a very tactical question. I thought that there was a position and a vehicle.
There is a vehicle, but there is not a position dedicated to them. There is a position that does.
That does that function.
So, but it's multiple positions that end up
So-
supporting.
Danica supports them, along with, there's, Jorge supports them, but he also does functions on the CROA side.
So the way that we would absorb that technically is we would delay or not hire
with the
additional-
expansion of
Yeah.
Island Village, we would be needing to add another inspector on a CROA side that could be delayed as we can absorb the additional house inspections with.
And there's 6 figures right there.
So how does the vehicle then play into this? And I know I'm talking like, we still use the vehicles as vehicles.
So
but if I want to air all the
then I
laundry
would,
out here.
our recommendation, and probably CROA would request it, is that CROA would take on ownership of that vehicle. Or CJC would take on ownership of that vehicle, and then it would be used for CROA inspections and CROA inspections.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. The second part of this, in a non-tactical sense, I don't want to dismiss, we still need to partner with the businesses. Like,
Allison and Nikki, which is our main function of partnering with the businesses on events, because we're driving people in, or we want to drive business to the local businesses. They've drastically ramped up the engagement with the businesses, not just downtown, but at Water Tower, out at Future Way and in Island Village.
but they're essentially doing that directly. They're not doing that through.
We're not
Noah.
doing it
You know,
through CROA.
that's- Yeah,
But you still have cross communication with Jacob's position, my position, and other CJC positions, where if there are opportunities to partner, that can still be funneled through CJC. It's just, I mean, we're identifying it and bringing it forward like we do now. But the
Sure.
main partnership is in the event world.
Additionally, with the communications manager and writing the business spotlight for the farmer's market and a business spotlight for a Canoa business and celebration. Those are used in the celebration magazine. And right now they're kind of expectations set by Canoa. They can continue because the articles are they're being written in-house. They can continue as that partnership, but it would also give CROA the decision of if they want to continue those or use that space for additional item, even if it's a 1 month blitz for something else or something.
So how did we, so I don't want to spend a lot of time, how did we get to this point? But I'm,
I can tell you how we got to this point.
so if we decide tomorrow, today, so there was no board action to direct you all to go above and beyond the contract is where I'm going, right? That there was no.
No,
So you could just say, we're going to enforce the contract tomorrow. This doesn't need,
And then they'll come back and say, then we're gonna pay the 43.
Yeah.
That's their.
and then we come back and say, well, we're going to also enforce the community standard and we're going to do.
Right. Oh, that's what we get. That's the.
It's sad that it's gotten to this
From
point.
a less than political statement from the management company, we were trying to appease Canoa, so the residential side isn't looking at us when Canoa drops down to the
You were
the
trying to make it
contractual
all
minimum.
work.
Yeah.
We were trying to make it work, so we're not getting fingers pointed at us and saying, well, you didn't do what they
Okay.
wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now it's, 2 basis points impact on the CROA budget.
Right.
Like, that's not a position we want to be in.
I want to hear from random member of audience.
Yeah.
In the blue shirt, sir.
Thank you. I think you should think about, just a suggestion, think about what your floor is and what makes sense. Because if they pull the trigger on the minimum they have to pay, the 43 or whatever it is, which I disagree with that calculation, because you're allocating based on an apartment complex of 300 people in it, it has one. And we've got 60 of those. So that allocation methodology, I would litigate that, but we don't want to get into that either. But anyway, if they want to go to 43, then it's down the toilet. I mean, it's over. Why would you do it for 43,000?
We would.
No, so you're gonna, now maybe we should do it for 100, we should do it for 150, we should do it for 200, and just communicate to them.
Yeah.
This, we're gonna dissolve it, we're gonna need this, and we've done our numbers, and this is our floor. And if you don't wanna pay that, then we're gonna dissolve the relationship. And just let them know what the facts are. Now, the flip side, I think Eric, you talked about is the community standards and how do we protect ourselves in the community standard side. I think we need, I don't even know what the answer would be there, but you gotta think about how can you have some influence on the community standard performance that will survive the purge of this thing.
Sure.
Oh, there's a lot to consider. Gary.
The residents that are on the periphery of this discussion, in other words, they're not paying attention at the moment. They're going to ask, what is this impact is on my association dues?
It's always money.
Yeah.
You're right, how much?
Right, and that's what we're talking about. That's really what we're talking about right now. Is if they stop paying their 190, what are our savings as the management company in the HOA?
But also so to that point, though, there are the things that, yes, the dollars and cents, but the time behind the scenes.
That's a lot of money and
Right, it's
but
opportunity.
that's money.
It's opportunity.
Anyway, no, I don't want to belabor this. I think we should just go to,
So going into CJC meetings, I think that's
Yeah.
the next step.
that's the next step, really. Because we don't want to pull the nuclear option trigger yet unless they.
We're all aligned, I think.
I don't think, does anybody want to just completely dissolve CJC right now, or we're still in the discussion phase? Okay.
So
Consensus.
what I would, from a consensus standpoint, I would like to be able to support going back to, because it's you, Don.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Or,
No,
Bill, that's right.
Good, welcome. I think we come,
Welcome to the fire fight.
I think we need to go in and present this back at the next meeting and say, look, this is kind of where we're at. And we need to figure this out. And I also think, though, that I'm hopeful that the tune will change if we say, look, we're looking at just trying to figure out how we need to go back to what the contract says. And then, because then they realize that maybe we've pushed a little bit too hard.
And that seems like a reasonable thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to design. Design guidelines.
We have design
This is
guidelines.
you.
So I know there's been a lot of back and forth on the design guidelines, and kind of what next steps are and what we want to do. There's been some feedback received from the community. There's been feedback received from the residents. And it's kind of, it's up to Bill now. So welcome aboard. But I do think that we need, as a board, to decide and provide Bill some direction and consensus too on what we want to focus on, what we want to do. As a reminder, the driver for this is twofold. One is to update things that needs to be updated from, things that are being requested in the community, needs, we have more mature landscaping, so it requires their options, all these types of things. The second one, which right now to me is a big risk, is on the covenant side, where we need to be able, if we cite someone, to be able to go to paragraph, line, and number of what exactly they're in violation of. So like the classic one that I get written up for all the time, thank you, Jacob, is, I have a bicycle on my porch. Now, I will come back and I will say, where are the design guidelines or where are the charters that state that I cannot have a bicycle on my porch? Now, if you were smart, you would point me to, well, it states that you can't have, non-outdoor rated or recreational, so somewhere out of view. Aha, it's outdoor rated. So now where do we go? We've been lucky that we haven't had this situation come up, that someone has come back to us with the law changes that have happened and said, no, if you're writing me up for something, you need to give me letter and verse on where it is specifically. Because right now we can't do that easily. So we kind of need to get some of this moving.
So this is where the joint covenant ARC process, you think, comes into play?
I think it comes into play, I think, because there's some practicality with this. Like we need to make sure, we had a spirited discussion about shrub height. And there's some very practical issues that come up with that. I'm an inspector standing out in front of a house. Can I reasonably estimate how tall that shrub is without another zone of reference? I mean, it's a practical standpoint, right? On how this works and how you're going to cite it. So I think that some of those things are helpful when we get together to be able to determine those things. I guess the challenge that we have is we as a board need to decide what we're comfortable with from either changes or amendments that are being recommended from the committee. And then hearing either feedback that we're getting from the community, feedback that we have as directors, then feedback from the individual committees to be able to come together to do that. But I do think as part of the direction that we want to provide the committees, I think we need, and Bill, I don't want to speak for your process of doing it. I would want to be able to provide direction on saying, look, we're going to focus on, these 4 guidelines. And we're going to try to get these out the door by this time and march forward.
So make it a manageable scope.
Exactly, because right now the scope is we're trying to get the whole nut done at the same time, and we're just
And that's going to end up in a massive, long, heated discussion.
It's also training, retraining the inspectors. There's a lot of that. Like, it's not just us passing design guidelines, like they have to reprogram themselves.
Right. But I mean, what I'm talking about is the broad,
Yes.
all-encompassing design guidelines versus focusing on those issues that need the most attention.
And there are things, and keep in mind, there are things in the guidelines, the draft guidelines, that the reason they're in there is because there are things that are commonly either being approved, appealed, requested variance or anything that are coming to the board. I mean, landscaping is the big one, right? Rocks. We all like rocks, things don't grow in between 2 buildings where there's mature landscaping around it. Sod dies because there's no sun. We need an alternative to provide there. Right now, there ain't a great one. So, but the ARC understands that and they see that needs to be done. But when you sit from it on an enforcement side standpoint, well, technically, if I put something there, it's not approved. And so we end up with a lot of these variances or these one-offs that you're trying to.
So again, I want to come back just so I get clarity. Your suggestion is that we have to.
The bill takes it.
All right, but the bill takes it, but your suggestion is that it be more limited in scope, that we address the big issues and then we do that again in a batch and then we do that again in a batch?
I think we need to provide direction. I also do think that it warrants understanding what we're comfortable with, because there are some pieces of this that are a departure from the original pattern book or their departure from, and I think some of it is okay. But we need to understand, are we comfortable with that as a board, as a community, you know, a lot of those things, because it's not, there's a reason behind the change. It's not just done because, oh, we thought it was nice.
Given that this is such a immense topic, that I have not even been to the first meeting of it.
And the first one's coming up.
I would kindly ask that the outgoing liaison attend a few of the meetings for the few months to help bridge the gap and all this, because I'm coming up to speed.
I think he wants you whispering in his ear.
Yeah, I want to be careful though, because I think, look, bluntly, I don't feel I've done a great job. I mean, so I think that, you know, we need to, I'm ready to have a fresh set of eyes with it as well, to be able to step in and do it.
But I think also, I think we are at a good point because the feedback from Jeffrey, there was a lot. There's a lot. And we want to get this right. We want to make sure we don't have to go back and amend it and then retrain inspectors and go through that whole process again. We're at the point now where we're getting ready to seat new committees, right? We're getting ready to, we have a new liaison, and it makes sense to at least put a pause on this right now and make sure that we're being thoughtful about it.
Totally agree.
Just get it right. We're going to have fresh eyes.
There'll be a lot of discussion and a lot of time to do that. There's no big hurry.
Well, if there's something though that I think is in a good place overall, maybe he had limited comments or something that we could probably put out, maybe
There,
I don't know, like to show some progress, but at the same time,
so
I don't know.
there are some, I don't want to call them silly because they're all important, but there are some ones that like there's no mailboxes. I mean, there's some of these that are relatively straightforward that I think that we could, that could be moved forward. What I would ask is for us as a board to support that we continue publicizing that stuff is out there, that we're looking at there's a change, and then accepting any more feedback from residents. Because I want to make sure that if, as much as we can, to get some of that feedback now, so that it can be brought to the committee, brought to the board, you know, whatever's needed.
Well, another thing to keep in mind, since tomorrow night's the first meeting I'm going to be attending, and I got the packet, read all 282 pages. That committee has to function while updating, while working with covenants.
So it's gotta be a slow process.
Well, I
It
think,
has to be.
number one, where's the fire?
Right.
Let's address the fire first. What are the things that are common that can be addressed, like you suggested? There are 4 potential areas that, and so we just need to break it out in true project management style, you know, where do we start?
Hey, Eric, sounds like he's already done a better job.
I know, it's great. See,
Eric did a good job.
No, I'm
just
kidding.
kidding.
why it works out.
I feel like Eric helped bring art back.
He did. You brought art
it
back
all
from the-
around.
Well,
Like, you
don't-
came in
don't-
and you, so to hit, for me to hear you say that is like shocking, because
But he
like,
also thought he was a bad secretary.
I know he was bad.
He's got a trend.
The scope of these things, and we sat together in that joint meeting, it's not just ARC, right? This is covenants also.
Yep.
So we've got the design guidelines arm, the folks that are like doing this, but then the enforcement side, and there's a lot of different opinions on
And
this.
this is by far the most complicated part of what we do. This is the most in-depth, detailed, complex, and primary goal of an HOA. So let's not rush this.
One question about like the procedure with it. And I guess it's mainly for Lauren. Was there like, what is that 45-day notice period to the community that was referred to? Is that's not what we're doing now.
No,
That's
When you adopt a new design guideline and it's effectively a rule change, then you have to notice the community for 45 days. before
So
it becomes
if-
effective.
if we did it like, but like 4 at a time, then just so I understand the process, would we then take those 4 and notice them for 45
Kind
days?
of like you did, what was it, beginning of last year, maybe late 24, when you
Mhm.
did when you authorized management to do the streamline applications and you adopted those.
Uh-huh.
Every time you adopted one of those, there was a 45-day notice period before it became effective.
But no vote or anything, it's just a notice.
Okay, that's what.
We vote on the thing. and
Right,
that
but there's no
triggers the-
community vote.
Correct.
Right, right.
Okay.
All right. Oh, hi, Gary.
Gary Huntsman. Thank you, Eric. That's a good explanation. I'm afraid that what I don't want the board to do is to get bogged down into this, because you already have two committees and the liaison. They're hashing this out, trying to decipher what's the best thing to do based on the law of inputs. And I'm afraid that you may think that we're asking the board to, well, we're bringing you 3 issues up here and we want you to decide this, this, and this. It's no different than us discussing.
Sure.
So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the board to give us step back, look at the big picture, and tell us what guidance you want us to concentrate on. And I have 2 ideas that I would like to hear from you. One is, we know Celebration was designed by the pattern book, which is still valid, still in existence, and TCC uses it to approve designs in all the homes that are now being built in that village and yet to come. So there's one reference, and I was hoping that you would say, concentrate and try to equate that. The second reference is you're paying good money for a town architect to do his job.
Excuse me.
And so I think.
Hold on.
that I would like the
I'll get to you right after him, Stephen.
I would like the board to say, we're paying this guy, please listen to him, because he's been here, he has some guidance for us. So I'm looking at the big picture, and I'd like the board to give us, use these as your priorities.
Stephen,
All right. There is no town architect. If there is, like I said, I'd like to meet. There was an architect a long time ago, he was part of TCC. That position went away. We've hired a consultant. That's all.
well, we call him the town architect.
Pardon me?
We refer to him as town architect.
It must be then the board, because no one else.
Who is the no one else?
The residents, because they're tired of Mr. Mountain.
Okay,
That's-
Stephen,
that's
I mean,
why-
that's interesting. That would be like me saying, I know what every resident thinks
No,
about.
that's what I had them come to me, and I have.
Okay, but, okay, let's stick with, anyway, okay, so what's your point? I'm
My
just gonna
point
let you
is
make
that-
that point.
When we sit there and we say we have a town architect, that position is null and void. We have someone who gives us,
In your opinion, we do not have a town architect.
if you're telling me that we do, then I move on from that point, I will accept it.
Do we believe we
How
have a town?
much was our payment to Jeffrey last year?
So
Board, do we
Well,
believe we have a town
Yes,
architect?
yes.
That was one of the
Yeah.
first things that.
We believe we have a town architect.
So-
In fact, the 2024 board was the first board that brought that back.
Yeah.
When you guys came on, that was one of the priorities.
I'll stand up and I don't think we do. Because I think that we do have a consultative architect, because we did have a period of time where there wasn't one, at least paid for, by staff. Do I think it's important to?
How is his job different now though than it was
It's
before?
semantics, isn't this?
It is semantics, yes, but I think it's important because the town architect, as the old school definition used to be, is essentially, I don't want to say they were a voting member, but it was kind of like the rule of law. Like, if this person says this is what we're going to do. And now it's much more of a consultative process. I mean, there are times where the ARC, we listen to what either, and I don't want to single out Jeffrey, it happens with Albert as well, from the landscaping side. We might listen, we say, yeah, I hear you. But in this case, we need to look at
But
this.
the ultimate arbiter though is us.
100%.
Right,
Yeah.
so we hear from the committees. We hear from what I like to call the town architect, just like we can call town hall. Semantics. And both of those are gonna carry weight with me.
Sure.
But the greatest weight with me is going to be from the expert in the field. LRK or Jeffrey Mowen or whomever it might be, that we are paying for their true expertise in this business. So,
Yes.
so I just want to say, I mean, I am a huge, and I moved to Celebration in 1996 essentially because of the pattern book.
Sure.
I do not want a suburb. I want a community that has high design standards. I'm a big fan of the pattern book, and I'm a big fan of the town architect, whomever that has been over the years, and it's been different people.
Sure.
And I think they've all been incredibly good at what they do. Every single one of them we've had. I think Jeffrey Mountain is one of the finest architects in the country, but that's my opinion. I think he's a great architect. That said, I still want to go. I've gone through some of these design guidelines. I see things that make sense. I see things that don't. And that's why I think we need to make this a process. That's my opinion.
So one of the things that I would propose is that we had worked, it had kind of come up as workshop items over the past year, and I know that we just never really got to it. And so what I would say, because it was huge, and so I think what we need to do is bucket it. I would like to see that, to Bill's point, more of a project management process flow on this, is that we take 3 of the, maybe we can start with easy ones. I don't know, pick mailboxes, antennas, and something else. I don't even know if there's antennas, whatever. You pick some easy ones to run through the process where we say, okay, cool. This is coming from the committee. We have